Am I the a-hole for getting my dad into trouble by telling my mom he wasn't spending the child support she paid on me? My mom was in an accident when I, 17 male, was 14 and was left disabled as a result. Because of this, my parents decided it would be best if my dad had custody of me because my mom had a long recovery ahead of her and would need a lot of help herself. My mom paid child support to my dad for me. Only, it was never spent on me. It went to his stepkids. He saved it for them and never used it on me even when I needed money for things. He had me overdraw on my school lunch account and then wouldn't pay the balance. I had to cover it with money from my grandparents, even though he was the one who last minute said we had nothing for me to take a lunch from home because his stepkids were getting more for theirs. When I needed supplies for a school project, he refused to pay for them. I wasn't allowed to get a haircut, even though the stepkids, my dad and his wife, all got theirs whenever they wanted. His wife was getting her hair dyed every other month, and his stepdaughter got highlights for her birthday. I also got way less food than the stepkids. This kind of thing happened constantly, and while my mom was deep in recovery, I didn't want to upset her with it. But eventually I told her because she wasn't giving her disability money from my care just to have it go to kids who are nothing to her. My mom was furious, and so were my grandparents. I moved in with my mom and my grandparents moved in with us, so my dad couldn't fight against it. Then she got the courts involved, and they didn't like what they found. I had proof, or rather my mom brought the proof I had to court. They decided my dad should pay the money back since he was abusing it, and not providing for me the way the court order specified. He only got away with it because my mom didn't see me as much as she otherwise would have. My dad and his wife are angry at me for doing this, especially since one of his stepkids has a long-term medical issue. They said I could have been understanding and that I was old enough at 16 when I told my mom and moved back in with her to know that medical issues take priority. They said it benefited the family overall, and while I might not have had a comfortable time there, I got enough. My mom, however, said his stepkids got more than enough, which is why I wasn't wrong. But my dad and his wife accused me of acting out of spite. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. No matter what his reasons were, that money was for your care, and he wasn't using it on you. It's very simple. Child support is for the child of the person paying the support money. He was abusing it, so he loses it. Exactly right. Child support is meant for the child it's intended for, not anyone else. Your dad had a responsibility to use it for your needs, and he didn't. You're not the a-hole for standing up for yourself. Your well-being should have always been a priority. I mean, it can go to housing, food, and utilities, because those are all costs of caring for a family. The big difference here is that the stepkids had things like school supplies, lunch plans, and haircuts, while OP didn't. So there was money available between dad's family earnings and the child support. It just wasn't being directed in a fair and equitable way to cover reasonable expenses. The reverse Cinderella at work. Not the a-hole. You aren't the only person who thought your father was mistreating you. Your mother, grandparents, and even the courts agreed that he wasn't being a good father. And if this is about benefiting family, why were you the only one not seeing a benefit? Not the a-hole. Being an a-hole has consequences, as your dad is now learning. Yeah, the fact that the dad was ordered to pay the money back rather than just stopping future payments when Opie moved in with his mom indicates that his behavior was provably wrong. That wouldn't have happened if it was just questionable or a little eyebrow raising. It would take serious negligence for the court to order him to repay the child support. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my ex-boyfriend's daughter it's not my problem? I, 38 female, dated John, 40 male, for about 6 months. We had known each other for a year before we started dating. We broke up 3 months ago. The reason for the breakup was because of his daughter Tia, 16 female. From the very beginning, she was hostile toward me, rude comments, putting me and my cooking down, and constantly referring to me as that witch. She even said I was the reason her parents broke up. False. They broke up 10 years ago, 9 years before I met John. I have a stepmom who went out of her way to push into my life, so I actively did everything I could to be the exact opposite with Tia. I try to give her space and even ask her what I could do to make things between us civil. Her answer? I could voluntarily leave this world. John was no help. He'd threatened to ground her or take her things away, but they were empty threats, and Tia would just continue her tirade against me. Even her mother, Chloe, who honestly is awesome, tried to talk to her and figure out what her problem was. Tia couldn't come up with one reason why she didn't like me. She just didn't. It all came to a head one night while they were at my house. We had ordered food, and I went to pick it up. When I got back, I found John in my dining room sweeping up the remains of my grandmother's antique picture. My grandmother meant the world to me, so seeing the picture destroyed broke my heart. I demanded to know what happened, and Tia smirked and said, "Oops, it was an accident." I asked her how it was an accident, and she just shrugged and said something like, "I think I bumped the table and it just fell off." There's no way that could happen. My dining table is heavy. You would have to slam into it to even shake that picture. I told them to leave and spent the rest of the night crying. The next day, I called John and told him I couldn't do this anymore. He tried to talk me out of it, but my mind was made up. Fast forward 2 days ago, I left work and saw Tia waiting for me. She started ranting about John's new girlfriend, Jane, how Jane is a monster. Evidently, Tia tried her old tricks on Jane, but Jane gave it right back to her. Tia would call Jane names, and Jane would call her names back. Tia insulted Jane, and Jane insulted her back. The worst was when Tia accidentally broke something of Jane's, and Jane retaliated by smashing Tia's phone. I asked Tia if she had told her mom. She had, and Chloe decided Tia wasn't to go over to John's anymore. I told her, "It sounds like everything's settled then." Tia started crying, asking if that was it. I just looked at her and said, "Yep, your mom handled it. It's not my problem." Then I left. I was talking to my sister about this last night, and she called me an a-hole. She said that obviously Tia's hurting and needed me. She came to me for a reason, and the least I could have done was be a shoulder for her to cry on. I just don't feel anything. I think I'm just numb to Tia now. So am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Tia's been awful to you for months, and you don't owe her anything. She's not your responsibility, especially after everything she's put you through. You try to be kind and she repeatedly disrespected you. Why should you keep tolerating her crap? You can say that again. Tia tormented you, disrespected you, and literally destroyed something irreplaceable of yours. Her coming to you now isn't a genuine cry for help. It's just more drama she created with someone else. You owe her nothing, and it's perfectly fine to protect your peace after all she put you through. I fail to see why your sister would call you an a-hole in this situation. The girl got what she wanted. You're out of her dad's life. If the new girlfriend gives as good as she gets, probably not the best way for a grown adult to behave, but this girl sounds awful. And her mom knows? Then what are you expected to do? Tia is learning the old play stupid games, win stupid prizes lesson. My sister, God love her, is very tender-hearted. She's especially sympathetic towards children. I try to tell her that as much as I feel for Tia's situation, I just don't feel anything for the girl. I've exhausted any sympathy I might feel for her. I think this is a good lesson for Tia to learn. You can't treat people like crap and expect them to be there for you when you need them. It may be lost on her, but it's an important life lesson nonetheless. Even if you had all the sympathy, what is she expecting you to do? Accost the new girlfriend? How would that go down? Not the a-hole, not your circus, not your monkeys. To be honest, I have no idea. I don't know if she wanted me to say something to her dad, to just be a shoulder to cry on or what. I just know that I can't do it anymore. I actually started to panic when I saw her in the parking lot of my job. I was honestly worried that she would damage my car. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not going to my biological father's wedding? I, 16 male, live with my paternal grandparents, and they have raised me for most of my life. My biological parents were so young at 27 and 29 when they had me that they couldn't cope. But anyway, I'll contain my eye roll on that and just say I don't really know either biological parent. I've seen both of them a few times but not frequently, and I don't consider them my parents. My grandparents have been both parents to me. My biological father settled down a few years ago. He has another kid, some stepkids, and got married on Saturday. We were all invited to the wedding, and he's tried to bring me into his family a little over the last few months, but I'm not interested. When the wedding invitation included me, I told my grandparents I wasn't going. They respected that, and because of everything, they chose not to go as well. My biological father told them he'd mark us as attending anyway, thinking we might change our minds. He kept pestering my grandparents about it, but they stood firm and protected me by stopping him from reaching out directly to me. Since the wedding, his wife has reached out, and she's blaming me for all of it. My biological father kind of does too, though he's not outright saying it. She's acting like she's more than a stranger to me, and she asked to speak to me, which my grandparents refused to let happen. I overheard my grandparents arguing with her over the phone. She said my decision influenced them, and we should all come together because of the kid they have together, and because she's pregnant again. She claimed I should know all these kids. She also said my biological father is hurt that I won't give him a chance, and argued that it's not fair for me to hold a grudge since he was only young when he had me. She even said lots of people struggle as young parents. I'm trying really hard to contain this eye roll. My grandparents are on my side and try to keep the arguing away from me, but I've heard enough blame aimed at me to know what's going on. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. If your biological father wants to have a relationship with you, he could try by respecting your boundaries. His wife should stay in her lane. She cannot demand that you have a relationship with her new family. Call me cynical. Is your biological father and his new wife afraid that he might be disinherited by your grandparents? Or are they looking for a free babysitter? Not the a-hole. I think she's angry that her new husband wasn't happy. I don't see this as her trying to get a babysitter or money. But him? His motive could be anything. You're a better person than me. The jokes about being a young dad write themselves. I wouldn't be able to hold back. Did he need help tying his bunny ears shoelaces on his wedding day? Did he have a nap between the toasts and the first dance? How did they afford a wedding on her wage and his pocket money? Not the a-hole. Your grandparents sound so awesome. You have no obligation to your bio parents, so if you don't want to engage with them, you're not the a-hole. The pressure your bio dad and his wife are putting on you is a form of disrespect. They want you, but they don't want to listen to what you are saying. Carry on and have a great life. My grandparents kept me out of foster care, and they gave me a good place and family to grow up with. They did so much when they technically didn't need to, so I'll always think they're the greatest people ever. Last story. Am I the a-hole for staying late at school while my dad and his stepson's birthdays were being celebrated? I, 17 male, don't have a good relationship with my dad anymore. After my mom died when I was 9, my dad started treating me differently. We had been close when my mom was alive, but I look like her. So I guess that and his grief made it hard for him to be a good dad to me anymore. He would find any excuse not to comfort me. He had dishes to do, even though he was watching TV. He had a phone call to make when he was reading a book. He was running to the store while doing nothing that I could see. He started making plans for me to spend more time at friends' houses after school, so I wasn't home as much. Some of their parents got tired of it because my dad never returned a favor. At first, they were understanding since they knew mom had died, but people don't like being taken advantage of. He stopped checking on my schoolwork, stopped responding to my teachers about learning plan, and didn't attend any IEP meetings. So my plan hasn't been enforced like it used to be. My IEP was for speech issues that I still have. Anytime I tried to talk to my dad, he was too busy. Even when he had days off work, he wouldn't spend them with me or drive me to school like he used to before mom died. He started dating his wife when I was 12 and they got married when I was 13. Her son Gavin was 2 when they met and 3 when they got married. I got to watch my dad be the dad to Gavin that he used to be to me. He loved that kid and seemed so happy. but he still pushed me away whenever I tried getting close to him. If I asked to be included in things he did with his stepson, he'd say it wouldn't be fair to Gavin and that Gavin deserved one-on-one time. I'd ask if we could have some one-on-one time, and he'd tell me we'd talk later. When I brought it up again, he'd brush me off with the same no-time comments. I know Gavin didn't cause any of this, but I resent him. I've known him since he was 2 and now he's 7. I don't think of him as a little brother, and I've never willingly spent time with him or tried to bond. I keep my distance. That might make me a jerk on top of everything else, but I hate seeing him and knowing he gets the dad I lost. His biological dad appears once a year, sometimes less, so my dad is the only dad Gavin really has. My dad's wife tried to reach out to me a couple of times. I told her I wasn't interested and that I only wanted my dad. She told me to pack my bags then, because I'd be disappointed. She wasn't wrong. I don't think she really cared. She might have felt bad for me but only cares about her son, which I get. I was older when she met me anyway. Gavin calls me his brother even though we hardly ever spend time together. When I'm brought along for family time, it's usually the 3 of them enjoying activities Gavin can do, and I'm just tagging along. My dad doesn't talk to me during those trips. Gavin tries, and I try not to be a total jerk to the kid, but I don't engage much and keep my distance. Recently, my dad and his wife decided to combine Dad and Gavin's birthdays, which are a week apart, into one celebration last Friday after school. I was supposed to go. Gavin invited me, and my dad mentioned it when I was in the kitchen with him and his wife. So I knew when and where I was supposed to be, but I stayed late at school and went home after they had already left. When they got back late, Gavin asked why I wasn't there. My dad looked mad and told me I knew the time and place. I said I did, and I chose not to go. I told him I didn't feel like celebrating. He told me not to take our issues out on Gavin because he's just a kid. His wife complained to me on Sunday because Gavin was still upset I'd skipped it, and she told me he heard me say I chose not to go. Dad didn't say anything more directly, but he left me a note saying, "Grow up." Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Tell him that he needs to too because he has been a crappy father for the last 8 years. In the words of Eminem, how the heck are you supposed to grow up when you weren't raised? Not the a-hole. I'm so sorry your dad has abandoned you. Grieve for not, he has no excuse. He's behaving awfully. What should you do? I suggest waiting it out until you can leave. Doing things with Gavin would be kind, but how long will you even be there to be his brother? You're 70 now, living in a house where only a 7-year-old boy has any love for you. There is love elsewhere in the world. You will find it, and you will make a new family. If dad or his wife complains, just tell them they reaped what they sowed. Good luck, Hopi. Seriously, your dad is a jerk. Grief is no excuse for abandoning his child. You're not the a-hole for skipping the party. You're allowed to feel resentful. Don't feel guilty for protecting your own emotional well-being. Focus on your future and getting out of that toxic situation. Your dad's note is just another example of his poor parenting. Find your own support system. You deserve better.